Hello, I'm Luke Corbin. It's July 21st, 2016, and this is the third Myanmar Musings podcast for the year. Today we're speaking with Joe Decker, Academic Director at the Chin Institute of Social Sciences in Phalam, ChinPI. Joe hails from St. Louis, Missouri, and has lived and worked in Myanmar for 4 years, on and off since 2010. We're recording this podcast on one of Joe's days off here in lovely Phalam, where we've been lubricated by the common local grape wine and some special mead brewed by our guest. So, Joe, cheers and hello.
Hello. What's up?
Well, before discussing this fantastic institute, why don't we start with your background? Phalam is a long way from Missouri. How did you end up here? And,
Yeah, it's a long story. So the way I got to Myanmar initially was that I had a friend in college who was a Myanmar international exchange student, and so I had no idea where Myanmar was. I never heard of Myanmar. I don't even think people were calling it Myanmar yet. I hadn't heard of Burma. Became friends with this guy, Thet Zawin. We were on the same freshman floor as each other, and through that friendship, he got me to volunteer over here for a couple months, and when I graduated, I had been offered an opportunity to teach in Yangon, and that appealed to me. Always wanted to teach, wanted to kind of have an adventure, so I came here and taught at the pre-collegiate program in Yangon for a year and a half. As I was transitioning out of that, I taught at Theka, Myanmar, another school, for a year, and at that school I had met some Chin students who I'd become friends with, got interested in Chin State, and right around that time there was an opening at the Chin Institute of Social Science. They had just started. They were trying to find pretty much their first academic director, and I just kind of wanted some more responsibilities in a school, and I wanted to experience Myanmar not in Yangon or Mandalay, and yeah, these friendships with the Chin students had really interested me in Chin State, so I applied and I got it and I came here, and yeah, that's how it happened.
Did you bring like a certain academic vision based on your personal interests and experience in the United States and in Yangon?
One of the reasons why I wanted to come was because, the two schools I had taught at previously, I think that there were just some very identifiable problems that they had, and those problems started giving me ideas of just like, if I ran a school, what would I do? How would I change this? And I think kind of unconsciously I started kind of building up this idea of a school I would create without these problems of the former institutes. And in college I studied education as well, and my senior seminar was on the charter school movement in the United States, and so we've been thinking a lot about alternative schooling and the problems of schooling in the United States, and new creative ways to school. I came with a basket full of ideas, some of which did not work too well, some of which worked really well, but at first, I was really just trying to be super hands-off, I didn't view it as like a school to experiment with as much as just like a community to kind of learn from and work together to try to build something together, and I had these ideas in the back of my mind and floated them out to people to see what they thought, and I listened to their ideas, and we tried to make this together.
So, what year was the institute founded, did you say?
It was founded in 2014.
Okay, and what opportunities did students or would-be students in Phalam or in Chin State, what opportunities did they have?
So I think there are a few tracks that most students in Chin State kind of fall on. One track is trying to get a government job. To get a government job, you need to pass your matriculation, you go to university. Another track, for a lot of people in Phalam, is actually going to the nurse training school and becoming a nurse, which is super popular amongst a lot of the female students in Chin State, and even some of the male students now. Becoming a pastor is one of the few jobs available where you don't need a government degree. You can still get a job. And then there is the NGO position, which there's a lot of diverse NGO positions. Sometimes you need a government degree, sometimes you don't. But those four things, were really the only opportunities I think available for most students. Most of our students that we got in Chin State. Some students are lucky enough to get sent to Yangon to do additional schooling. And some do want to do additional schooling somewhere else. But before the institute, for the type of students that we cater to, students that don't really have enough money to go to Yangon or Mandalay for school, those four things I said before were really the only things available for them, I think.
And so how is the Institute for Social Sciences different from other educational opportunities or schools in the region?
The biggest way we're different is it's really how we teach. The government universities offer social sciences degrees, politics or economics. But how we teach is different. Of course, learning English is a huge thing, and that's, I think, what attracts most of our students to our school. But the way we teach is very hands-on, so students, have to go out to the community and apply their learning. Our school is also project-based, so students have to do projects and actually have to design projects as part of their schooling too. So we're trying to really give them executive functioning. They're not jumping through hoops to get a degree. We're trying to make them stand on their own feet by the end of their education, so that no matter what they do after CISS, they can think critically about it.
And so how did the school get founded? What's its kind of general structure? Do the students need to pay?
So the way the school got founded, our founder technically is a man named Thom Bick. He went to a school called Ganka in Yangon, which is very similar to CISS, because CISS is pretty much modeled after Ganka and PCP at Panda'u. So Thom Bick went to Ganka, and he pretty much just said, Chin State needs a school like Ganka. Then he started calling people around, to his friends and asking for help for writing a grant. He found this guy named Gavin, asked if Gavin could write a grant for this school. My understanding is that I think it was actually mostly Gavin's idea. He was the program manager at the PCP in Panda'u, which is another school based off of Ganka. And pretty much he made kind of just a complete replica of that school, sent it in to the NED and OSF. And the problem is that Gavin left after kind of 3 months, and no one really took over. So here's this design for a school without the person who had kind of thought of it and who had made it work. And then everyone was very chaotic, I think, the first year in trying to get people to stay and, believe in his mission. And I came, and I was trying to sort things out. And in the middle of all of that, we, had all this staff turnover, just because it's not stable, right now, we still, rely on grants, for our funding. It's not sustainable yet, so it takes a lot of faith from the workers to really, say, I'm going to work here for 5 years, because we don't even know if next year if we're going to be around. And unfortunately, I think there's kind of a weird mindset among my supervisor, Mr. Thom Bick, and some of the other Chin people, Chin leaders, which is kind of this reliance on foreign money instead of really hankering down and trying to find a way to make it sustainable. And so, it's a big problem that we're still trying to work out. Yeah.
Is that the school's goal eventually? It wants to be self-sufficient and
absolutely
grow?
Yeah, absolutely. Self-sufficiency is goal number one. I think there is a very important niche that a school like CISS has in Chin State and everywhere in Myanmar. This kind of alternative schooling program that is helping students think in ways that the government school never really showed them. And doing showing people that learning is fun, that learning is cool, that learning is not about sitting in a class, but is about engaging with your community and creating things, cool things. But it's hard to sell that to parents. Who right now, I think their number one priority is, from my experience here, they want their children to usually get a government job.
I guess you've been teaching here for a few years. You've been developing these programs and working with Chin youth extensively. Obviously, there's been a lot of change here. The fact that your school can even exist is a consequence of these changes.
Mm-hmm.
As I understand it, was it 2012 that the blacklist was removed for Chin State? Before then, you couldn't even come here as a foreigner. Is that right?
I think it was even 2013. My understanding is that it was immediately after foreigners were allowed here that Gavin came and they thought up the school. And
so, what's it like working with the Chin youth? I mean, was it what you were expecting from your Chin friends in Yangon? How do they perceive the school and the rest of the country?
Yeah. It is more of a challenge, I think, than what I expected. The Chin students I had in Yangon were way more affluent in hindsight than I knew at the time, than the students we currently have. And the brightest students, are sent to get these government jobs. The students who pass their matric, who get accepted in university. And the school is just super new, We're trying to, build trust, I think, with the community, show them that this is something worthwhile for their students to learn before they go off to government school, that it's good for the community. The biggest problem, I think, facing Chin State as a whole is that half of the people who are Chin, half the people who are Chin in the world don't live in Chin State. And most of the people who don't live in Chin State are the ones who I think are affluent, the smartest people, the most resourceful people who are able to find their way out. And unfortunately, most people I talk to who are Chin, who aren't living in Chin State, have no desire to go back at all, which is kind of disheartening.
I've really noticed this in my brief time here, is this narrative, that Chin State has nothing, that it's not productive, that there's not very much pride that I've seen in the space, there is definitely, it seems to me from people I've talked to, pride in a kind of identity, like a cultural identity, but not so much in the geographical kind of space. It seems like people are very comfortable that they can be Chin and they can live somewhere else, and they might even prefer that.
That is absolutely true, and it's a horrible problem. And we ask questions like, if a Chin person moves to America and has children, and their children don't speak Chin, and maybe they know a little bit about Chin, maybe those children then have children and they absolutely don't speak Chin and they don't really know anything about Chin culture anymore. Are those people really Chin anymore? Then is it important to hold on to that? I think most people will say absolutely yes, it's important to keep that culture, but
All right, so as academic director, I assume that you're heavily involved in curriculum development.
Yeah.
So what subjects do you teach? What are the most popular amongst young Chin people, and any ideas why?
So there's some classes that everyone kind of agreed we should teach. And so those classes are active citizenship, introduction to educational studies. This year we tried teaching a mindfulness class. English, of course, politics, intro to politics. Oh, and Chin history. Those are the mandatory classes this year. And then we kind of have these elective classes. And last year, it's changing. It's changing every year as we kind of learn and figure out what students like more. They really like active citizenship. They like hands-on stuff. And half of our school are, like I said earlier, it's like these projects, right? So we have these classes, which is more of a traditional educational setting. Teacher up front, teaching about stuff. They do activities and stuff, and they still get out of the class. But then they have these projects, which are very much so just out of the class, making something happen. And that seems to be going over pretty well with the Chin students, And that's something I think the whole world is starting to embrace more, is this idea of project-based learning, where you're just kind of breaking down the walls of a school and making it this mesh of community needs versus individual learning, and how can you blend the two of them. So, for example, some boys are made like a band project. They love music, they like playing music, and each project has to be kind of combating against a problem that they think exists in Chin State. So the problem they think exists in Chin State is just that there's not really any diverse music. It's just like gospel music, so they want to kind of do something new, and they want to write songs that also incorporate traditional Chin music, also talk about social issues in Chin State. So it's like this awesome, fusion of their personal talent and interests and kind of, some of the problems in Chin State, right? We have a fashion design group. But each term, all the students have to do a project. In the first term, this faculty led the projects, designed them, and the projects were very different from each other. There was an AA project, trying to start an AA group. There was a singing project. There was a dancing project, recycling art project. We're trying to, I very much believe in Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, that students have a wide range of intelligences and you should just give them options. And again, just show them that learning is cool and that learning, you can learn at the same time as doing good things for your community and stuff.
And how about teaching staff? I see there's some teachers here at the moment who've just come up from Yangon for particular classes. An established painter is here, for example. So how common is that? And can you talk a little bit about your current staff?
Yeah, absolutely. We always have cool people coming through. We had a couple ambassadors. Actually, we had the ambassador for the United States and England come through randomly, and they just stopped, and we got them to talk at the school, and we try to just take as much advantage as we can of cool people traveling through Chin State, and we ask them, just give a little talk, or a workshop, or teach a little class, right? And so a lot of people give workshops. Had someone give a workshop on wine because he had worked in a winery. You're going to give actually a workshop on beer. Not all our workshops are on alcohol. Had someone give a workshop on gender. Someone came up, taught 2 weeks on gender. Dante always, he's been here since the very beginning, actually, the artist. But those are kind of all the extra people. I mean, we had a teacher visit, and we did a clown performances. That was another really cool one,
Wow, how did that go down?
Oh, it was great. We went to 4 different schools and did these huge clown performances there where students were running around, all the little kids, and our students, had workshop these very small clown performances that were actually critiquing social issues. And it was hilarious and probably one of the best experiences of my life. Just the amount of pure distilled joy. And for weeks after that, I was also part of the performances. Got to clown around, and for weeks after that, anytime I saw a little kid in the street, they just burst into a bunch of giggles, which was amazing. But our current staff, composes of me, Peter Chan, who's only with us for a term, teaching Chin history. Then there is a Thai woman named Bu, who signed on to be with us for a year. She's going to leave after 2 terms, unfortunately. And teacher Mary, local staff. She teaches mostly English. Bu is teaching, she taught active citizenship and is teaching kind of business stuff and is leading projects. Teacher Mary does English. Nate P, politician, actually, has agreed to help us out with teaching journalism. So he's doing journalism and politics and media type stuff, and also leading some projects. And then there's Thom Bick, who taught intro to politics in term 1. Term 1 we had some other teachers too. Some teachers only sign on for 1 term, and then take off. And so I had a guy, 2 Americans here. One of them was my sister, who actually was here for a year, but she caught the tail end of term 2. And she taught English and singing, and John taught natural sciences and led that Alcoholics Anonymous program. So that's what we're working with. And then other staff we have, our Lydia, our fearless program manager, and Boy, our equally fearless office worker. both of whom, are actually old students, alums of the program. And so it's awesome that they're giving back and kind of continuing their education, living it now. And they're both, really, really great. We want to be able to work without them.
Yeah, I've talked to a few of your students and about their, their dreams for the future. And we've got some people who want to be accountants. We've got someone who wanted to be a political journalist. So you're on the third generation now of students.
Yeah.
What sort of things have your alumni been doing? Have you got any stories to share on that?
Sure. We have students, studying to be accountants. We have students who are journalists right now for the local Chinland Herald newspaper. We have, students who are becoming nurses. We have students who are pastors and who are teachers, and students who are working in NGOs, students who are working at CISS in kind of more administrative roles in schools as well. I know one, helped start a boarding school in Calais. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the paths that they're blazing for themselves. I wish more students would continue their education, because there are a lot of these cool one-year programs like CISS in Yangon. And one good story, so we had this student last year. She was super bright, had opinions, knew how to back them up, and she decided to take a huge chance, and she went with me on one of my trips to Yangon to interview for one of the most elite schools in the country, this BCP program, actually. The only reason I was able to make this happen was because I used to teach there, and it was just this human-to-human thing, like she never would have found out about it. No one from Chin State had ever known about this school ever before. And she had to take a huge test, like an SAT pretty much. She was so disheartened after taking it. She's like, I don't know if I'm going to get it. I'm just like, listen, you just have to take this chance, and I'm going to help you as much as I can as well, but you have got to do it, and they're going to interview you. There's no right or wrong answer, but you just have to be who you are, and if you are that person who I know you are, then they will accept you. And she did the interview. A couple weeks after that, we found out that she got into the school, and the school normally costs $10,000 to go to, and we're able to work it out so that she didn't have to pay anything. And so now she's at that school, and most likely will go to university in the United States. And she, is dedicated to coming back and helping out, especially in education too. That oftentimes when I've had a bad day at class, I'll go to sleep at night and just remind myself that she's doing that.
Earlier this year, there was a TEDx Talk in Yangon with quite a few speakers I remember seeing. It was a bit exclusive and expensive. I didn't end up being able to get a ticket, but I believe that one of your alumni was there. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. For the record, I don't know if I would have been able to afford a ticket either, but maybe I could have gone as his plus one. But yeah, it was the school president, actually, Stephen. But yeah, I had a friend who was kind of coordinating the talks, and she called me and asked if we had any cool teachers or students who had a story about education. They didn't really have, this ethnic perspective from any of their speakers yet, and talked to some of the students, some of the faculty members, and we thought that Stephen would give a really good talk. Pulled him aside and gave him the spiel and told him what they wanted, and started developing a talk, and we showed it to them, and they liked it, so we just kept doing drafts, and they put it on, man. He went on with his traditional, specifically his village jacket on the stage, just really awesome purple, like the color purple you're wearing right now, flamboyant jacket that I think a lot of people approached him about afterwards, and they were like, yeah, where'd you buy that? And gave a talk about his life and the different schools that he went to, and kind of different lessons he learned at each school, and learning how to think critically, kind of, and critiquing the government school for not encouraging that type of thinking, and yeah, how his educational career ended at CISS, or most recently he was at CISS. Hopefully it hasn't ended just yet, and how, yeah, the amount of freedom we gave him and the other students to design their own rules. Actually, another huge thing I didn't talk about the school is that at the beginning of the year, the students have the opportunity to make the constitution for the school. It's part of our kind of politics and active citizenship lesson. And he talked about how, yeah, that was very empowering for him this year. And yeah.
So there aren't very many foreigners in Falam, and you're a bit of an emblem of privilege, development, Europeanness.
Yeah.
Some people here have expressed their respect for you to me, that you live quite a simple life here, and you do, in your house. How have you found getting used to the local conditions and standing out so much as you do every day when you walk through the town?
Yeah. When I first got here, it was pretty crazy. Just the amount of attention I got. It was on another level. And honestly, I don't even know if that's gone away or if I've just gotten used to it. But it's not like that big of a deal anymore. And I've learned some Falam, and my Burmese has gotten better, so it's I can now kind of just engage with it. It's not a completely people are pointing at you and you don't know what they're saying, and that makes you feel weird. Now I can understand what they're saying, and I can make a joke back at them, and it makes the situation way more human and nice. The living, for me, just personally, I just like having a simple lifestyle, and living here has really cemented that. It's been a cool thing I've discovered about myself, and I think I'll, for the rest of my life, just try to live very, very simply. It's nice. I don't mind the electricity not being there. I don't mind the water not being there for weeks sometimes. I don't know. It's humbling. It keeps things in perspective. It helps me remember what the rest of the students I'm teaching are going through, I like it. I love it even. I don't know if it's because of how I live or whatever, the school or the people, but just I've experienced more of a community here than I've experienced anywhere else ever in my life. It's just small town living. I don't know if it's that or the Chin culture. Probably something I'll think about forever, when I do go back. How can I bring that type of community, sense of community, back with me to the suburban desert of St. Louis.
So I'm loving visiting you here, and I'm doing a little bit of kind of pre-field work and pre-research before I launch into my field work proper in January. And I'm having a great time, and you seem really positive and happy, and I wonder what was your happiest memory so far with your time here with the school? What was your happiest day?
The happiest day in Chin State was, just this really, really big, fun picnic that we had last term down at the river. And there was just this one moment. I mean, everyone was just there. There's something on this stream on the side of the river. We had all just finished eating, and everyone just was smiling and happy in this weird, idyllic scene that you just don't think is possible in reality, or you only see it in weird Disney movies. You're that's not real. And we just started having this huge water fight, and there was one moment during that water fight as I was just rocketing water as hard as I could with this pot lid at the students, and I kind of looked up, and there was just this rainbow in the mist of the water I was flinging. That was this full circle rainbow, and it was just framing this moment that was already so beautiful. And I just felt very, very present and very, very grateful, and just realized that all of the annoying, frustrating times in the office or in the class yeah, just completely worth it. And that we were all there together. And yeah, that, you know, even if someone doesn't quote unquote learn something by the end of CISS, that, you know, these relationships are super real, and that, I don't know, we had this weird collective identity in that like moment.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for offering this unique perspective, this unique position. I've really appreciated it.
Yeah, man. I love talking about it. I mean, it's good for me to articulate some of this stuff, too, because, like you said, I'm the only foreigner kind of out here besides Bew right now. And sometimes you just kind of forget that this is a different perspective and that it is interesting to other people. And so, yeah, thanks for talking with me about it. And showing interest.
No worries, man. I'm sure this won't be the last time you're on Myanmar Musings, so until next time.
Awesome.